Hey everybody, best friend Stephen Pappas here, just breaking in real quick at the beginning of the episode. So we tried a new recording setup this week and our audio quality spiked at some points where we weren't expecting it as we're trying to work out the kinks. So just wanted to thank you for your patience as we kind of are working out the new system here. We're excited to be working on new mics and get the quality up better for you. And we can do that because you've been so supportive and amazing. So do want to warn you, there is a part, if you start hearing Brittany talk about ravioli, that's right, ravioli, you're gonna want to watch out because she did drop her microphone at one point while telling the story, but you still need to hear the story. So I left it in, but it's gonna be a little loud. So thanks for being patient with us and enjoy the episode. This episode of Is This Adulting is brought to you by our Patreon supporters. We want to say a big thanks to new Patreon supporters, Audrey G and Gemma. Thank you so much for your support. If you would like to support the show as well as get some awesome rewards in the process, bonus content, coloring pages, all that fun stuff, you can join the giving family over at patreon.com/isthisadulting. Thanks.
Hey, this is your best friend Carolyn from Stockholm, Sweden, and you're listening to the Is This Adulting podcast. Hej då! That's goodbye in Swedish.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Is This Adulting, the mental health comedy podcast you never knew you needed. I'm your best friend, and I almost said I've got mail again, but that was my intro like 6 weeks ago. I have nothing. I'm Stephen Pappas.
And I'm like back from the grave, because I straight up haven't been on this in a while, have I?
Yeah, it's been a while. Where you been, bud?
Well, I've been on vacation quite a bit, and we recorded a bunch of episodes pretty much within like a week of each other. And so we haven't recorded really in like a month?
Yeah, this is the first time we've recorded together in like a month, which is very different of our usual MO. So it's a little weird. I kind of don't like it. I kind of think I'm done with this show.
Okay, great. Well, luckily I have someone else on the show that maybe she's willing to keep going with me. If not, this could get awkward.
Yes, because just like every week, we can't do this thing alone. Y'all don't want to hear just us talk. No. So we've got another best friend with us this week. So she is a writer, actor, and comedian. You probably know her from her work on BuzzFeed, as well as her many podcasts and YouTube series. Please welcome Brittany Ashley to the show. Hey, Brittany.
Woo, what's up?
You sound
You can't
so enthused.
see that I just did the rock fingers,
You
but I did.
You did the rock fists, or the rock horns, and I really enjoyed it. No one's ever been this excited.
Hell yeah.
So, oh my gosh. Is that how you intro every podcast that you do?
Yeah, sometimes I start it with ooh,
Yeah,
sometimes I start it with the old.
That's good.
That's funny because occasionally I will start just like before I do the intro,
Really?
I'll just be like, let the bodies hit the floor. It goes over well, but not always. So.
Well, our viewers have always said that if there's one thing that we are down with, it's with the sickness.
The sickness,
So that's
yeah.
something that's been pretty consistent.
Oh, it's funny because we both have mental illness and we are indeed down with the
Oh,
sickness.
that's a fun thing. I wasn't even thinking about that. Oh
my God. Can we get down with the sickness shirts? Anyway.
Actually, that's a
They
pretty
probably
awesome
sponsor
idea.
you, yeah.
Disturbed does our official theme music.
This podcast is sponsored by Disturbed.
Oh my God.
The newest ASMR rage. Disturbed.
Can you imagine like our show, like the intro, it's all folky and like fun. Can you imagine if all of a sudden you just got like would people turn it off? People have already turned it off.
I would turn that on all the way up.
Yes.
Roll the windows down.
See,
That's what I would do.
She gets it. So we're going to start doing that next week. So Disturbed, this is us officially reaching out to you.
If
we're
not,
ready
a
and
close
waiting.
second will be Chris Daughtry. That'll be our runner-up.
Never
No?
Chris
Okay.
Daughtry.
Well, fine.
Never. Do you know that I saw Chris Daughtry live once?
No, but I mean, I don't know if there is more of a statement that proves that you're from North Carolina than that statement right
That's
there.
true. Yeah, I did. Oh, he was opening for Bon Jovi.
Wow. You are definitely from North Carolina.
Yeah, it was a fun ride. But anyway, we're going to get into everything in just a second. But before we do, hey, Brittany, do you want to tell people where they can find you on the interwebs and or your home address?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you my social security number as well.
Yes.
So you can go to BrittanyAshleyFunny.com. That has all of my videos and all the ways that you can find everything I've ever done, really. And then I'm at Brit27Ash on Instagram and Twitter.
Cool. And do you want to plug any of those podcasts that you mentioned? I know you said you got 3.
Hell yeah. So I have Sick or Sadder World, which is a Daria rewatch podcast, but it
Awesome.
actually has the last episode tomorrow. We've gone through the entire series and both of the
What?
movies, but it's never too late to get into it. And then I also have an Angel rewatch podcast that goes in tandem with Buffering the Vampire Slayer.
Yes.
And then the third is Don't Tell the Babysitter Mom's Dead. It's where I interview other people who've lost their moms. And then have like a pop culture element to it as well. It's very fun, very lighthearted.
Yeah.
Delightful.
That's awesome.
Do you feel the need to explain that to people when you're like, I do a podcast, this is what it's about, but I promise, like, just because...
Totally. Yeah. It's like, it sounds like it's going to be a bummer. And sometimes it is, but I think, people who've gone through similar traumas can have a bit more of like a lighthearted, realistic conversation about it rather than it being very sad the entire time.
I was gonna say we do that every time we have to explain this show to somebody. It's so we do a mental health show, but I promise it's not sad all the time.
It's a
not.
comedy mental health, so that makes you
Exactly.
uncomfortable.
And then everyone gets real confused because they're like, comedy and mental health, what are those? And why do they go together?
They go hand in hand.
Exactly, because if you don't laugh, you'll cry, and it's okay to cry, but it's also okay to laugh. So. Yeah, I don't think we have any housekeeping this week, do we, Christopher?
Oh,
Except for that laundry in Chris's room.
that's
Ooh,
the truth.
yes.
Yeah, I've been on vacation, so I had pretty much no clean clothes, and so that's what the last 24 hours have been. But don't worry, everyone. I got clean undies now, so I know that's the question that's been on everyone's mind, and
I know it's
you're
been on
welcome.
mine. Well, let me ask real quick, Chris. There is one bit of housekeeping I need to do.
Okay.
So we kind of have a new recording setup. You definitely do.
Yes,
And you have a new desk, but you don't have a new desk chair yet.
that's true.
So right
Yes.
now you're on like an aerobics gym ball.
Or as I referred to it earlier, a big bouncy ball. And so the people who are watching, which are just the 2 people who are recording with me, if you wonder why I'm bouncing so much, or if I sound like I'm bouncing, it's because it's impossible to sit on this thing and not freaking feel like a 2-year-old. And I love it.
I just need you to know that if I have to edit out all that bouncing, I will destroy you.
It kind of looks like I'm doing the same thing because I nod a lot so that everyone acknowledges that I'm listening. So it kind of looks like I'm bouncing too.
I just imagine that you were pumping Disturbed into those headphones.
Yeah. You'll never know.
I'll never know. She probably hasn't listened to a
so
word we've said. It's all Disturbed. Well, we're going to start this week off just like we do every week with a mental health check-in. So, Chris, how you been this week?
I've actually been thinking quite a bit about this mental health check-in because, like I said before, we recorded, what was it, like a month worth of episodes, all pretty much in the same week, just
Yeah.
because of you were out of town some, and then I was out of town. That's how it kind of worked. And I got to a point where when we were recording those, I was at the very, very end of an incredibly stressful, tense, pretty much 6-month period at work. And the thing that's interesting about this show is we do this every week. And the part that is difficult is sometimes you don't want to answer, how have you been? And so you don't really think about it that much. And then all of a sudden you're being recorded and you know people are going to listen, and you have to, on the spot, be like, well, shit, I don't want to think about that. And that's kind of where I was for a while. And so I was thinking about this just the other day because I had a really, really awesome fortune of working at a really healthy place now to where they take just self-care very seriously, and they were able to give me some time off, and I hadn't had much time off in a very long time, and so the ability to just stay at home, watch Netflix, hang out with my puppy dog, sleep in, all the above has been better for me than I could have ever imagined. Just something super small like that would be, but it's the difference between it being like a Saturday and you get like one day or so before you have to start dreading going back, or whatever it might be. And so it was just really, really nice. And so I say all that to say I have a clearer head and I feel more at peace than I have in a very, very long time. And I started back today at work, and immediately I was like, oh, I do love this place, but also I remember why I was stressed. And I can already start to feel those emotions come back up just a little bit. And so although, sure, I'm nervous because I know I'll get back to a point where I'm stressed again, but it's just, I feel more rested than I've been in a while. And I feel like I'm able to be a better friend, a better family member, husband, really all the way around, just when I've actually taken care of myself, which I think is actually something that we are going to be hinting at in just a little bit. But yeah, so that is what's been going on with me. Brittany, how are you doing?
I feel like I'm doing better than I have. I feel like it's been like a steady incline with like little bumps along the way, but I feel like I've definitely been better than I have been in a while, which feels pretty nice. I'm trying not to make all of my moods and self-esteem be dependent on career things. It's been a tough road to remind myself that, the things that actually make me happy are like planning themed dinner parties for my friends or going to like, outdoor screenings at the Hollywood Cemetery, or going to concerts. Like it's been a tough road to remind myself that career success or career failure doesn't define, my happiness or who I am. And so, but all of that to say that also yesterday I got finished with like this giant outline of this horror comedy that I've been trying to write for the last like year. And I just finished it and I was like, fuck, that felt so good.
Whoa,
but it was
awesome.
also, so it felt like super good to finish something, but it gave me the lightness of, oh, that's cool that you finished it, but it wouldn't have, it wouldn't have changed the progress that you've been doing. And, going to a new therapist, we'll get into it later. But I think like I've been doing a little better, and I think I've been able to compartmentalize a little bit and not just be drowning in stress all the time. Even though I'm doing a million things, I have a way of reapproaching it, which I haven't been able to do in a long time.
Yeah, well, congratulations. You just got finished with a big project. Also, I like how what you described earlier as ways to get away and relax is to do something like go to the graveyard. So, I mean, clearly, you and me are very different people, and I want to learn the strength and courage that you have.
And
because
clearly
that sounds
we're
like,
very similar.
That sounds like a horrible punishment for me.
Okay,
and I would be so afraid.
There's just a quick... So, in Los Angeles, there's a Hollywood Forever Cemetery, and they have concerts there, and they have movie screenings there. And this Saturday, there's an overnight with The Craft, Practical Magic, and Witches of Eastwick. So, like, that's something that I, like, very much look forward to.
What?
But it's like a slumber party in the cemetery, basically.
Whoa.
But there's, like, a whole area. Like, it's not... You're not, like, laying on tombstones or anything.
Yeah,
It's as respectful as you can imagine it to be.
Excuse me, I am going to Google flights to Los Angeles this weekend. 'Cause that's amazing.
I think I could do it if I was with a group, but by myself...
Oh, yeah, you're always with a group. You're always with a group.
There's
and
no way
like
in the world I could do it.
300 of you, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you go in to watch a movie by yourself in a cemetery, that's not an event. That's... Uh-oh.
Yeah, but I do appreciate that you had that image of me doing that. That is fun.
And also, fun fact, Sleeping in a Graveyard. That's another song from Disturbed that people don't know is quite as much about.
Wow.
So it was from one of the earlier EPs. So it was before they got big. Oh, I'm supposed to ask. I'm sorry. I forgot. It's been a while. I'm rusty. Steven, how are you doing?
Well, it's so polite of you to ask, Christopher.
I was thinking of asking because I was like, yo, dude, aren't you going to ask?
Yeah, I know.
I was thinking of
I
asking.
appreciate it. I was still thinking about graveyards, so it took me
That's what happens when you host 3 podcasts. Maybe I need to look into a new co-host.
Okay.
It sounds like she's going to have one podcast slot available soon. So, Yeah, I am here. I need to call Ben Schwartz up because I need him to come in and tell you that this week has been the worst. It's been bad. So I talked a little bit about it last week. I have still not relaxed from the 3 weeks that I was out of town almost. I have still not chilled out. Today was the first day that I actually took some time to do something myself and just relax even a little bit. And what did I choose to do with that? I chose to sit on my couch and watch approximately 9 episodes of season 8 of Ink Master.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
I love that show.
Me too.
And I forgot it existed, and so I'm 4 seasons behind, but don't worry, there's an app now that I have it on my Roku, and I can just watch all of it, and I'm very excited. So, I practiced a little self-care today, but like we talked about with Travis McElroy, that doesn't just mean laying on my couch and watching Ink Master, that also means I ate really well today, and I went to the gym, and it's definitely something that I've enjoyed doing. I came home and relaxed a little bit, even though I've been super stressed with the health anxiety lately, as we've talked about. But don't worry, I go to my therapist tomorrow, so I have a feeling I know what we're going to talk about. And she's going to get on me again because I'm always worried about the same thing, no matter how much we talk about it, and I'm supposed to work it out. So overall, pretty shitty, but I have a really positive outlook, which I feel like is my answer to this question every week.
That's all right.
But, I'm getting there. It just depends. Once I get this anxiety shit under control a little better. And that means, doing things like not missing my medication like I did all day today. Maybe don't do that.
I would agree.
Yeah, because then you end up relying on things like Klonopin and Xanax to help you out in those panicky moments. And that's not the ideal situation. So, yeah, it's just a matter of working through some of that stuff. But I'm going to get there. I'm going to do it. It's going to be great. So, with that being said, as always, if you have a mental health check-in you'd like to share or an idea of how we can encourage you throughout the week, remember we are not professionals in any way. And if you need professional help, this is not the place to find it. Seek out a mental health professional, or if you're in crisis, utilize the resources like the online resources as well as the Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Definitely check those out. But if you just want to share with us how you've been doing, you can email us at isthisadultingpod@gmail.com. Remember, we can't respond to every email, but we definitely read everything. So I really enjoy getting those over there and just knowing a little more about you. So yeah, feel free to do that. All right, we're going to move into our first topic, which I literally have no idea what it is because I thought I did, and then Christopher told me 5 minutes before we recorded.
Yeah,
that's
I changed
not what we're doing anymore.
My bad.
So,
I don't know.
Brittany and I are both in the dark here. So, Christopher, would you please tell me what's happening?
Would you turn on the lights?
Ooh. Please, I will gladly do so.
You want me to use my app?
Yeah, we had the same idea. So Steven knows this, and I don't know if you've ever been on the wonderful website that is reddit.com, but I spent some time on there now and then. And
who's never been on Reddit?
What?
Who has never been on Reddit? Okay, if
It
you're
was just
listening
a
and you've never been
joke.
on Reddit, really?
It's a joke. Whatever. Fine. We'll keep going. So I was on there, and I always really enjoy certain threads because they're just always so unique. And one of the ones I've been on for a long time, like many people, it's called Ask Reddit, and it's just all types of random questions. And I just was looking through, and there were some interesting ones, and I just wanted us to kind of go through some of them. And I'm curious because these are things I don't really know about Steven, and me and Steven have known each other for a long time. And hey, what a better way to get to know someone than through random questions that someone else has given you on the internet, right?
Poor Brittany.
No. It's not too bad. They're pretty simple. So we're gonna start with more of like an icebreaker type of question, and that is: so if you were condemned to live in a television show for forever, and you had to live as a certain character, but you get to choose, what show and what character would you choose, and why? So how about this?
Shit. Okay.
Does anyone have an answer? Or would you like me to go first?
You go ahead, Christopher.
Like I said, So I went back and forth. Originally, I was going to choose Saved by the Bell. And that is because I had a really, really big crush on Kelly Kapowski for a long time. And I wanted to be Zach Morris.
However, to be Zach Morris.
I know. And it's because if you look, as we've discussed before, if you look back and realize Zach Morris is a horrible human being, I couldn't choose that. And so I had to go a different route. And so I actually fast forwarded way, way into the future. And if you've ever seen the show Psych, it's a very popular comedy crime show, maybe. I guess that's probably light on the crime. But yeah, so it's just a popular show, and I think I want to be Burton Guster because that man knows how to wear a tie tuck shirt. Y'all, I'm not stylish whatsoever. I often just wear t-shirts, and yeah, I'm not very hip, I guess, is maybe the way you would kind of... I mean, anyone who says it the way I just said it proves how truly bad they are. But
Accurate.
So I just love Burton Guster, and I couldn't help it. I just have to go with Gus. So, who wants to go up next?
Well, my instinct is to say Buffy. In Buffy.
Yeah.
But then I think about how miserable I'd probably be, but I'd also have such purpose where I wouldn't be able to sweat the small things whatsoever because I'd literally have to save the world all the time. So I think in that respect, I'd just be distracted and having like the highest highs my whole life, really.
Yeah, I like that idea. That's pretty...
And the lowest lows.
and definitely
and
the
I'd
lowest
die
lows.
twice. But
Maybe or maybe not, you open the hell mouth at some point, but
All right, Steven.
But I think that's the first thing that popped in my head, and I think I'm going to stick with it.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Steven,
Hell yeah.
have you figured out what you're going to be?
yeah, my joke answer was going to be Ned Stark from Game of Thrones, but not that. And then I had this moment where I was like, do I want to be Eric Matthews from Boy Meets World? Because he is always very happy, albeit not very intelligent. But
That's
you know,
true.
he's always seems to be really happy, and he's kind of suave in his own dumb way. But then I was like, no, you know what? I love the television show Lost, and it is arguable there is
Lost,
no
okay.
good character to be in Lost because everybody
Yeah.
either dies or terrible things happen, or that weird smoke monster that always like comes out of the woods comes and gets you. But there is one character on Lost that I would want to be, and that's Vincent the dog. Because he's a yellow lab, and he survives the whole series. He gets to live out his days on a tropical island with a nice married couple that adopts him. Like, I want to be Vincent.
That's a pretty good answer,
I
actually.
want to live out my days on an island with an old married couple that adopts me.
Wow.
That's fair.
That was actually a song from Disturbed in the last couple years. They've gotten a lot kinder and calmer.
Now I feel like you're making these up.
Oh no, I don't know. I'm the
Life
biggest
is a
Disturbed
dog.
fan that you could ever meet. I follow.
No, these
all
are
of their
all
things.
real titles of Disturbed songs. What are you
Yeah,
talking
that was
about?
their acoustic cover album. Living on an island with an old
As
couple
a
who
dog,
adopts you.
yeah.
So all right. So now we're gonna go a different direction. This is story time. Have you ever won a contest or raffle? And if you have, what did you win? Because I know many people who always say, I'm so unlucky. I've never won anything. And I, for most of my life, was the same way until I finally did. And I'm curious to see if either of you have won something as well.
Yeah, I went... This was like 15 years ago or something, but I went with my grandma to this like community rendition of Beauty and the Beast. And
Nice.
It was just like, it was like a suburb of Chicago. It was like the Schaumburg Theater. And there was a bunch of, there was like a silent auction or not a silent auction, sorry. That makes it seem like I chose to win. It was a raffle. It was a raffle, but you could choose where you put your, you could choose where you put your ticket. And for whatever reason, I put it in this like Chanel gift basket. And I'm not like a fancy person whatsoever. but I did it anyways, just to be like, whatever, there's nothing else I want here. I don't want like a Pilates membership. And then I got a call a week later that I won it. And then I had to go back to Schaumburg, pick up this like giant gift basket. And then I had like fancy old lady lotion and perfume that I never used.
Whoa.
But I did like a couple times like, for prom or something. But yeah, it's weird to win something that you don't really care about. I've never really won anything that I've been like super hyped on.
I just love that the time you finally decide it's time to bring out the old lady perfume and lotion
it's prom.
Is for prom.
Yeah.
I have to attract anyone I come across, and there's only one way I can do that.
It's Chanel number 5. Yeah.
That's how I do it.
Yeah.
Wow. Steven, have you ever won anything?
Okay. So the thing that comes to mind,
You seem so
when
sad.
when I was maybe 6 years old, there was at the time still in my hometown Kroger. Don't have those anymore in this state, but had some Kroger stores going on. And for those of you that don't know, that's a grocery store chain in the country. And they had a coloring competition where you were coloring a picture of a lion, just a coloring picture, and you had to color it and bring it back in. And I won the coloring competition out of like 200 entrants. I won the coloring competition, and I got a free VHS copy of The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride.
Whoa, that's pretty cool.
Which only came out on VHS.
Yeah.
That was a straight-to-video title.
But you know what? Of the straight-to-video Disney sequels, not the worst. Not the best, but not the worst. So,
Wow.
Yeah, I don't have it anymore. I don't know what happened to it. I'm a little bummed out, but I did win a coloring contest when I was 6.
So what you two have shared with me is, Steven, you won based off of pure skill and merit. Brittany, you won by a combination of luck and just strategy.
Apathy?
I think, and maybe a little bit of that too.
Yeah.
I have won something as well. I think out of the three of us, I won the most valuable item. However, I also kind of cheated to get it. So I feel I don't really know if I can. I technically. All right, let me explain. So it was also, ironically, high school prom for me. It was senior year, and the theme was Vegas, is what it was, which is when it's a bunch of 17, 18-year-olds, you better be a little
debatable high school theme. Yeah,
no joke.
Chris won Prom King.
oh gosh, no, definitely not that. So the one thing that was cool about it is, for those of us that would go to prom who said, you know what we don't want to do? We don't want to grind all night because, hey, if anyone looks at me, you can realize me and grinding are not things that are very compatible. And because
And you have respect for other humans, or
well, no, just more of one, at the time, no one would have with me. And two, even if someone would have, I would have looked like a really weird slinky.
I'm very uncomfortable with this conversation.
All right, we'll keep going. So what I'm getting at is nobody danced with Christopher. And so because of that, I had to do something else with my time. And they had all of these straight up like gambling games where everyone walked in and you had like 10 chips for free and you could gamble them and win things throughout the night. And at the end, you put all of your coins into like a big raffle, same type of thing, and it's different prizes. So I wanted the grand prize very badly. The grand prize was, at the time, it had only been out for like 2 weeks. It was an iPod Touch. It was the original iPod Touch. So it was a big deal. And everyone was coming because they're super excited about it. So
we're old.
Yes, we are. So what I did was, while everyone else went around dancing, I started by playing games, and eventually I was like, hey, do you want these? Like really nonchalant, and be like, nah, you can take them. And slowly I collected about 500 tokens, mainly just because people kept giving them to me. And I also I might have been walking around just see them some on the table. Oops, I swipe them. My bad. And long story short, I won the grand prize, mainly because if you statistically look at it, it would have been almost impossible for me not to, because I had, for every one token everyone else had, I had about 40.
Yes.
And so that's the way I won. So I cheated, but that's how I got my iPod Touch.
You got to work the system.
You use it every day.
To this day.
He did in college a lot.
That is true. I did. All right. So here is the next one. I am curious. This is a great question, and there were some really funny answers. So I wanted to see if anything like this has happened to y'all. What has happened on a date that has made you never want to go out with them ever again? Anything weird?
Have you had time to think about this, Christopher?
Well, let me share with you. I definitely know my answer.
Go for it.
I'm once again showing my age. It was the good old days of MySpace, where I saw one of the, everyone on MySpace would Photoshop their pictures and would do certain angles to make them look like extra cool, and would have all these I mean, it's the same thing now. It was just harder work back then because Instagram wasn't around to just easily put a filter on. And so I quickly, as the 16-year-old, fell in love with this girl. I was so excited when I got the nerve to actually ask her on a date, and she said yes. And so we'd never met because this was the original MySpace, to where it's more acceptable now. It was a little bit weirder then, but it was still somewhat. Anyway, so I go to pick her up for the date. Very nervous. I had been on very few dates in my life. And I open the door, and something unexpected is on the other side. It's not the date that I was picking up. No, it was 8 of her family members. They were all waiting for me to say hello. They were very excited to meet me. And so they brought me inside. Those weren't the only family members, y'all. There was like 12 to 15 family members who would all come for the sole purpose of meeting me. Let me be clear. I had never had more than a couple phone conversations with this girl, because that's how it worked back then. You would send messages, and then if you got the nerve, you would call, and one of their parents would answer, and you would be like, "Oh, are they on the phone? Or can I talk to them?" And yeah, so I then sat down, and pretty much, it wasn't like a thing where they were trying to scare me or anything like that. It was kind of the opposite. They were incredibly nice. They were very nice people. But it was just awkward to have really long conversations with a person that you're trying to go on a date with. Instead, their mom, and then their dad, and then their little brother, and then their Aunt Sally, and then their uncle. And then we said, "Hey, let's go outside." And I was like, "Okay." And they took me across the street to the grandparents' house. And then I had to meet all of them. This was like an hour and a half experience that the whole time it was sad, because I was so stressed by the end of it, and I realized, this sounds horrible, but I was 16, so deal with it. I'm a better person now than I was then. But I realized pretty quickly on, I don't know if I like her enough for this, and that sounds horrible, but she just kind of just let me out there to dry. She wasn't even hanging out with me while I just got interviewed by a bunch of people. So that was the worst thing that's ever happened to me on a date. Have any of you ever had very weird date moments?
Is this first date specific, or could it be like second date?
It can be any day.
Oh man, the one that's coming to mind is one. I mean, I'm sure there's like worse ones, but this is just the one that was like, boop, that's the one. Mm-hmm. This was like 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. It was this girl that I had met on Tinder, and we had a really good first date. We like both of our favorite poets were the same person. We both like bonded on Jeffrey McDaniel, this like very niche poet. And we just had like a great date, which, drinks turned into having dinner. And then she went to the show that I was performing on, and we just had like a great date. So I was like, tons of potential here.
Yeah.
We go on our second date, and we meet somewhere for dinner, and I forget where the fuck we were, but she just kept asking if they had ravioli. And it was like a place that like wouldn't have ravioli, but I didn't think anything of it. But I didn't think anything of it because I was like, okay, like, maybe she has just like a taste for it. And then we end up going to this bar and she's like, do you mind if my best friend comes? She's my roommate. And I'm like, oh no, it's totally cool. But then her friend shows up and they have like this incredibly codependent relationship. And then we go back to her apartment where they live and I forget her poor roommate's name, but she was like ordering around her roommate to make ravioli. And I was like, what the fuck is up with this? And then so she's like treating her roommate like shit. And then her roommate has this other friend over and she's like going on her friend's Tinder and is like, yeah, not this guy, not this girl. Oh my God, I need to show you my Tinder and all the people that I'm talking to. So she was instantly just trying to show me that she's like talking to other people. It was just very, very strange.
Interesting.
And then when her friends went upstairs, she like straddles me and she said, oh God, I can't remember what she said.
She was like, ravioli, please.
It was something that was like, I love how good you are with my friends. And I like never, I didn't even talk to them. I was just like, what on earth is going on? And then we went up, I don't know why I continued along with, like there's some moments in your life where you're like, okay, I could leave now, or I can just like see how this car crash ends. And so I wanted to be there. And so we like went upstairs to her room. She turns on this like record player. I think it had like Brand New or something. She like turns on some music that just like doesn't fit with what's going on. Disturbed. And she's like, I'm sorry, I just feel like I'm being crazy. And I was like, oh fuck, okay, cool, like the chick I met on the first date is back. And we like start kissing, and then she like gets up and she's like, I just want you to know that I'm like sleeping with other people. And it was just like the weirdest thing. And then she like went back into her roommate's room, and I imagined to like ask her to make more ravioli. It was just so weird.
Stacey,
and I also,
where's that ravioli?
And I think we also ended up like sleeping together, but that's just beside the point. But anyways,
you gotta do what you gotta do.
I like stayed in her bed. I like wanted to leave, but I like stayed in her bed and just like cradled myself. And then I left the next day, and I didn't go on another date with her, but she ended up sending me a card. Okay, so I also have to be honest. I was gonna like take out this part, but it was after we slept together that she like popped up and she was like, I just want you to know that I'm like sleeping with other people. Like right after we had sex.
That's awkward.
But she sent a card that said, I'm sorry on the front, and then you open it and it says, for what I said after sex. And she sent this card to my home. It was truly one of the weirdest experiences. There's like, I'm sure there's like much more detail that went on, but I basically just watched this person like turn into Sybil. It was so strange.
There are 1,000 questions that I just feel like I need to just set them down for another time. But as much as I'm impressed by the ravioli, she sent a card?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, when you said she sent a card, I thought it was like a business card, and it was for like Tina's Ravioli.
Yeah. You got to check this out.
She's a ravioli distributor. That's the reason why. Yeah. She's got a taste for it.
But, like, I think Brittany, and I think we've known each other long enough now that we're essentially best friends. And so I think I can tell you, I think you dodged a bullet.
Yeah.
Because you would have had to carry around a Ziploc baggie full of ravioli for the rest of your life, and not even like with sauce. You would have had to take them out with your fingers with sauce and give them to this person. So
I want to imagine she's a dry ravioli type of girl. You know, like she just like you just walk around with a little baggie, and she just like turns around, opens her mouth, and you have to like just sling one in there like a little pierogi.
It's like a seal. Yeah.
She just snaps her fingers and goes nom noms. Like, and you have to like give her ravioli.
Wow. It was so weird. I should have known from the very beginning when we were at dinner, and she like to everything on the menu was like, I can't even. Like I should have known instantly.
I just imagine that this is the place you went to was like a breakfast for dinner place, and it's just like Jerry's Waffles, and she goes, so do you have like ravioli? And oh wow. Well, that's pretty amazing. Steven, can you match that?
I can't top that. I do have a 3-way tie though.
Okay.
Of just very short but very awkward experiences I had all within my high school period.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and get the first one out of the way because it's going to make me sound like a terrible person, but didn't want to go on a second date after I went on a date with a girl, and in order to run her little brother out of the room, we put on a VeggieTales movie, and I'm just going to say the words saliva control. And there was none of it. And so, yeah.
I don't want to ask any other questions to that.
Yeah. Didn't want to go out again after that.
Maybe meeting with this girl's entire 45-member family wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
Yeah. Then there was... Oh, yeah, there was the girl that I went to dinner with, and this is like sophomore year of high school, by the way. And she's already talking about where we're going to move when we get out of college. First date.
She's a planner.
She is.
Yeah, well, so am I, but so no, but I guess it's not a three-way tie because I don't think any of those could top going to hang out with a girl. This was like a second time hanging out with her thing, and I drove an hour to get to her house. Chris, you actually know this person. I drove an hour to get to her house, and she lived on a farm. And we were hanging out all as well until I had to go down and watch a cow be birthed and watch this girl that I was dating with go elbow deep into a cow's anus.
You win.
I don't know.
Wow.
It could go one of two ways. It could be very impressive or very terrifying.
It was not. I'm not gonna lie to you. Any physical attraction I had to that person went away.
What if the girl that you dated that was a planner was the one that birthed the cow and then turned around and says, "This will be us one day."
Yeah.
Even scarier if she turned around with it and said, "This is our child now.
Yeah.
We will name him Jeffrey."
He only eats ravioli. Wow. Well, that was an interesting round. And this is the last one we'll go with for now. I am curious. This is a slightly different direction, but what is something that people tend to be embarrassed of that you think they shouldn't be?
I think it always makes me so sad when people are embarrassed about like what they're into. I think I went through so much of high school being afraid to tell people what I was actually into that I could have made so many more, or not so many more friends. I think I would have found my tribe a little better had I actually been honest about what I was into. And I think when you have shared interests, you can go so much deeper with a person. And I think when people are like embarrassed about the kind of like music or shows or hobbies that they're into, it always bums me out because that's what makes you unique.
Yeah, and I think that something that's so interesting to me is sometimes like I'll catch myself off of like initial like assumption or response, and I see someone is like into something that I don't at all find interesting, and at first I'm like, why are they into that? And they go, wait a second, there's some really weird like things that most people would think are super boring that I love, and then it was like it's just a good accountability of being able to say it's cool that there are people for everyone out there, and there's so many like subcultures and I mean heck literally subreddits and all types of stuff to be able to help like celebrate the things that they're into. Yeah, Steven.
Yeah.
What
first
do you
off,
think?
100% agree with you because I spent so long being embarrassed that I was a grown man who was still reading comic books and things like that. Then all of a sudden it became cool and it was like a cool thing I did. And I was like, oh, no, I got made fun of for that. I think the thing that bums me out the most is when I see people who are embarrassed by who they are. So that can mean a lot of things. The two things that resonate with me the most, just based on my life, are I hate when people are embarrassed with how they carry themselves, and even if they're trying to make a change, they don't have to make a change. But like for me, I've kind of embraced the fact that I'm a big dude, and would I like to be healthier? Yeah, but like it bums me out when people are so down on themselves because of the way they look. Like that doesn't change who you are. And you absolutely don't need to be bummed out because you're beautiful in your own way. Like everybody's beautiful. Like you don't need to at all be embarrassed because you look a certain way. And then the other one for me when it comes to being embarrassed of who you are is working with the kids I work with. It's tough for me to see kids who are embarrassed to admit that they are queer, who just don't want to talk about it, no matter, especially kids who are trans, who are just embarrassed to embrace it and say anything. And so it's really nice for me to be able to talk to them and be like, you don't need to be embarrassed. Like, please own who you are, because until you own who you are, you're not going to be happy. And so.
Totally.
Wow.
Yeah,
well, both of you just gave incredibly articulate, deep answers. And now I feel embarrassed for the thing that I had prepared as we were all figuring it out. And mine was just, there's a social like standard of something that is considered embarrassing, but it shouldn't be. And it's because everyone does it. And that is farts.
I think I like had a feeling you were going to say that.
Somehow I knew as soon as you were like, well, my answer, I was like, it's going to be farts.
But,
it's going to be.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm going to go out on a limb here and I'm going to be very pro fart in this world of just saying like, and what I mean by that is I'm not saying like rip one every 2 seconds, but everyone has had that moment where you're like in class or you're in a quiet room and you're sitting there and saying, my options are either painfully sit through this and hope for the best, or if something were to happen and everyone were to notice, I would be like mortified out of the room pretty much. You know, like I would be shunned immediately. And it's just a funny thing when you realize like, so I spent this past week with two of my closest friends who they just had a baby girl. And I haven't spent a ton of time with babies before, at least not that extensive of a time. And y'all, babies fart constantly. It is freaking hilarious, like the amount in which they do. And it just, we actually started talking about just saying like, it's so interesting how whatever reason, like like a dog can do it. And then everyone laughs and says, oh, that's just cute. That's a normal part of life. And then you think especially like a teenager, it's the thing you're most afraid is going to happen, you know? So I don't know. So it was just another thing I was thinking about that.
I feel like with women, sometimes it's worse because like,
yes,
we're supposed to just not have buttholes. Like that's what you're supposed to go through life thinking. And
exactly.
So like, it doesn't happen to women.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's what it is. Like guys get the luxury of playing it off, like certain guys by just being like, "Oh, well, that's just Kevin." I don't know.
That's just Adam Sandler.
Yeah, yeah that's what but no, I think you're totally right.
Can I go on the record and say something?
Sure.
Before we take a quick break here, I just want to go on the record and say, Chris, I've never told you this in our 10 years of friendship. But it's time for me to own who I am, like I was talking about. I hate the word fart. I hate it. It makes me cringe. So I just don't like the word. I don't like the way the word sounds in my mouth or in anyone else's mouth.
Really?
Are you less uncomfortable by the act or the word?
The act. The act is way more cool than the word. The word makes me more uncomfortable.
What about toot?
Toot's just silly.
Well, I'm just trying to think of
I think if it had like a cooler word, we could really rebrand it.
Right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, like
gosh.
Fart 2.0, we have to like come up with a better name.
Like Sarah Silverman has a joke that if diarrhea didn't mean that, it would be a really beautiful name for a child.
It's the truth. It really would.
Diarrhea.
It just like rolls off the tongue.
I'm going to go round table here. And just real quick, can we just give our best idea for the new word that we're going to rebrand the passing of gas with?
Okay, I'll go first. This sounds more like a Pokemon attack than a cool word, but air blast.
See, I'm like thinking something that like I just bladed the air or something like cool.
Whoa. Yeah. Bladed the air? Man. Sweet blade, dude.
Yeah.
See, all I could think was something like hammer strike.
So insane. Wow. Yeah. In some
my
ways, I think we
gosh.
all described Pokemon attacks is really what we did.
Yeah.
Just like
Airblade.
Yeah.
Okay, so just so you know, I will be using the term bladed the air for the rest of my life.
Good.
Please.
So thank you for giving me that. Well,
Of course.
with our first topic being done, we're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with more Is This Adulting? Hey everybody, best friend Stephen Pappas breaking in here with your weekly podcast recommendation. We're back! So this week I'm recommending Trends Like These. So if you haven't listened to Trends Like These, it's a wonderful show. Here is the description. Trends Like These is a weekly roundup of what's trending on Facebook, Twitter, and all over the internet. Brought to you every Friday by Travis McElroy, Brent Black, and Courtney Enlow. Y'all, this show is so great. I listen to it every single week. It's kind of how I consume my news because it feels like a healthy way to consume news because sometimes that can be stressful and trigger anxiety. So definitely check out Trends Like These. We've had Travis on. He's lovely. Spoiler alert, we're gonna have Courtney on very, very soon. She's also lovely. And hey, maybe we'll get Brent on the show. We'll just hit the trifecta. So definitely check it out. I suggest one of their most recent episodes, which is the episode that is so well titled Fuck Batman, as the first thing you're gonna see. So definitely check it out. And yeah, back to the show.
Oh God, what are you saying?
I don't know. I'm trying to make the ha-has and I'm not doing a good job. Hey, we're back. I wonder how much of that I'm going to leave in. Who knows? And now it's time to play a game. And Christopher has terrified me by telling me something, everyone. He told me we're going to play a new game. And I was like,
Yeah.
Really? So Brittany is the one that you want to experiment with and try a new game.
Hell yeah.
Instead of one of our tried and true things because Brittany may hate us after this.
No, here's my reason. It's because, Brittany, you are a writer, comedian, you have done a lot of improv before, and because of this, you're the perfect person to be able to help us come up with this. And so this is why we're trying out a new game. It's pretty simple. I just call it Reply All, and what that is I'm going to say a prompt, and all three of us are going to have a response. And so each of you are going to send that response to me. And then I'm going to read all three of them out. And then
Cool.
we're all going to vote. So if you ever played a game like Quiplash, it's pretty simple.
Oh, yeah. I'm big into Quiplash.
So the idea is we're going to have you send me each of these. And the whole point is I'm going to also be playing because I'm going to see if I can steal points away from you. So anyone can win, including myself. The way it'll work is you cannot vote for your own answer. And I will be the last one to vote. So if I need to tie or split the tie, I will vote for one of you. I will not vote for myself. So that way I'm trying to be as fair as I possibly can. But I even have a nice little music and everything to give you some time. It's going to be about 30 seconds per. So with that, are we ready, everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
I need something unexpected to find in a haunted house. So much pressure.
I don't know why I just said what I said.
Oh, yeah. I also don't know why you said what you just said.
I don't know. It's my life.
I don't know if you want to say that is your life in particular.
That's true.
And
Wait, hang on.
it's okay. I'll give you an extra second. Here we go.
Okay.
It's gonna be a lot more intense than mine.
Nice. All right, here we go. So, here are the three options for something unexpected to find in a haunted house. A VH copy of Lion King 2.
Mm-hmm.
A ghost dildo. Yep, that's what I said. Or 3, your dignity. So, on that, now this is what we can do. We can actually, you can say your votes out loud. Now, so Stephen, you have heard all three options for something unexpected to find in a haunted house. Which one are you going to vote for? Remember, you can't vote for yourself because I know all three.
I'm gonna say the VHS copy of The Lion King 2 because that's a sick callback.
Okay. How
And
about
I'm
you,
going to
Brittany?
say your dignity. It's a
Your
great
dignity.
answer.
Wow. So I have to split this vote. Unfortunately, both of you did not go with my answer, and so I can't pick my own. And so a VHS copy of Lion King 2 is going to win. Mine was Your Dignity, so thank you for thinking that was funny.
Nobody liked Ghost Dildo, huh?
Nope. So with that, Brittany, you have the first point. So
Hell yeah.
congratulations. All right, so we're going to keep going. The next one. This is nice and simple. This is the next big hit for a boy band. Whatever the name of that song is going to be. The next big hit.
There are some answers here that would get me into some trouble.
I know.
I'm not going to put what I want. Oh, man.
What if Disturbed there was like a Disturbed boy band
A
version?
boy band.
Yeah.
Come on, get down with the sickness.
Oh, I like that version. All right, get your answers in.
Oh, God. Okay, Chris, I'm going to send you an answer. Tell me if that is at all going to get us into some trouble. I should do something else. I should do
Very
something
much
else.
so. Very much so. I will not accept that answer. How about that?
Okay.
I will say, Brittany, I think you and me are on a very similar page because
Nice.
it was something very similar was going to be my original
Cool.
go-to. All right, so here we go. So here are the options that you can vote between. Is it Blading the Air? A different take on, just a different take for romance. I'm Woke, Baby. Or is it, hold on, let me get it. Or Slide into Your DMs. Which one is it going to be? So this time, Brittany, you are going to vote. Which one is going to be yours?
Slide into your DMs.
Okay. All right, Steven, what are you going with?
I was going to say I'm Woke, Baby.
Well, once again, the competition has been between me and Brittany, and so I can't vote for myself. And I actually think I'm Woke Baby is pretty good. So that's great. So you have another point. This is really, really good.
We couldn't take my first answer.
Yeah, we couldn't, and with very good reason. And so congratulations, you're up big right now. So we're
Cool.
gonna have to make it a little bit more challenging. And so this time it's gonna be worth 2 points. So anyone can be back in this. Are we ready?
Yes.
Name me the Mario Kart weapon that was rejected by Nintendo.
Why are all my answers filthy?
So many wonderful weapons. Not the banana. Not the shell. You're down to your last 10 seconds. Like that extra little bam at the end. What was that?
Boom.
Yeah. All right, here we go. So, okay. I'm liking these answers. So, oh my gosh. I'll say something at the end of this. So, here are the 3 options. 1, the cutting words of your father. 2, the engine maintenance light. Or 3, a parental figure whispering all of your biggest insecurities.
Oh my god. Are we mind melding?
You are. You
That's the
are.
reason why I was like, crap, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Like, holy crap, we're on the same page.
That's amazing.
Well,
Wow.
Steven, what are you going with?
I mean, I have to choose between
Exactly.
one of them.
Cutting
I'm
words
going
of
to
your
say
father
the cutting
or-
words of your
Okay.
father, though.
Okay, all right. Brittany, I
And-
guess you can't pick yours, so what are you going to go
Yeah.
with?
I'm going to have to go with the one that sounds so similar to mine. So,
That was a parental figure whispering all of
Yeah.
your biggest insecurities. That was mine.
Wow.
And unfortunately, this is 3 times in a row that we have gone head to head, and I have lost. And so it is impossible to be able to come back. But just for fun, let's just play one final round.
I don't want to. I suck.
Well, all of yours is you start so dirty. That's your problem. You gotta think of something
I didn't
else.
on the next one.
Here's what you have to do. Just close your eyes and ask, what would either Chris or Brittany say? Because
That's true.
because we're clearly in the same genre for everything.
My second one was a cutting political commentary, okay?
It was. So all right, so final one. Ironically, we talked about Tinder earlier, and so I thought it'd be fun. What would be a strange bio, like first line for a Tinder profile? And go. Be anything you want it to be. You're trying to get people to swipe, so you gotta say something that's really gonna get their attention.
Something that's going to get their attention?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's nice. Here we go. All right. So
I don't even know if I stand by this one. I was just trying to be different than Chris.
I'm just trying to think of something that's going to grab people's attention.
All right, so here we go. So, the options are... Well, if I can get them. I lost them all of a sudden. Is it America's lesbian sweetheart?
Nice.
Is it the CEO of Tinder? Or is it 30, flirty, and pro turtlenecks? All right, so Brittany, we're going to start with you. Which one are you going with?
Well, I mean, I have to go with my own. This isn't the one that I have to go with America's Lesbian Sweetheart.
Yep, I understand. See, I like your approach. It's if I can't pick mine, I'm going to consistently pick whichever one is as close to mine as possible. That's a good way to do it. So, America's lesbian sweetheart. So, Steven, what are you going with?
Turtlenecks.
Turtlenecks? All right. And I have to vote. Mine was 30, flirty, and turtlenecks, and pro turtlenecks. And so it looks like even when Brittany doesn't actually win a round, she has still won because it's about her. So, Steven, you get the points. America's lesbian sweetheart. So that is...
Hell
I
yeah.
got points.
That is great.
See,
Congratulations.
aren't you so glad you played in this round?
I'm so glad.
Congratulations. You did a great job. I, every time, got into the final two, but no one ever picked mine. So it's all right. I at least got close to stealing points, which is what I was going to. But you defeated me. So congratulations. And thanks for playing the first version of this game. How did it go? I just made it up as we went.
Stick
You think
with
it worked out
funsies.
well?
Yeah,
I
stick with
spent
it.
a stupid amount of time looking for the perfect 30 seconds of Jeopardy. Just so you know,
It's definitely
they change
not
over
like-
times, and there are many different keys. I found this one the most soothing of all of them because some of them are weirdly high pitched or really fast. So I thought this was a little bit easier.
I like it. Well, we've done it. We're moving on to our final topic of the night, or day, or afternoon, or whenever you're listening to this. We're going to talk about the last thing we're going to talk about, which is a thing that we're going to talk about.
All right, Bert Hapley, thank you.
So that was my goal. So this is Brittany's topic. So Brittany, I would explain it, but I'm going to let you explain it because you could probably do far better than I can. So
Yeah. Cool. So as I said briefly before, I started going to this new therapist, and she's expensive and she rocks. And she, after telling her in the first session kind of like all the things that are going on with me and the things that I've been struggling with, her major thing that she wanted me to work on was self-compassion. And I thought that was such a sweet assignment to get. It's basically just like appreciate yourself more and give yourself a bit of a break and do things that you enjoy doing and just take moments to check in and be a little bit more mindful. And so, so I've been practicing self-compassion for the last 2 months, and it's manifested in little things. Like I really enjoy going to small venues and going to see concerts. And so I've been doing that. Also bought an electric guitar because
Nice.
I don't know how to play whatsoever, but learning something, like like, I'm never going to be a musician. I'm never going to be in a band. So learning a new instrument like the guitar, something I've always wanted to learn, it has no real end goal, or it's not set up where you can fail. You can only really succeed because you're learning something that you've never learned before. So trying to do things that you can approach in a way that it's not so high stakes all the time. And in general, just like reframing the way that you speak to yourself. Like, you know, she gave the example of like, if you stub your toe, your first instinct is to be like, you fucking idiot. But just like, she's like, you know, give yourself a second and be like, oh, this actually hurts. That wasn't my fault, but I can sit with like the hurt of something. So just like reframing the way that you talk about yourself, you know, not taking things as a failure and just giving yourself a bit of a break, I guess. And yeah. How do you guys practice self-compassion?
Steven?
I don't. I'm supposed to, because, you know, my therapist wants me to. But I'm not very good at it. So I am not a person who does a lot of validating of myself. I tend to view myself as the problem in any given situation, or the root of the problem. And so it's something that I really have a hard time with. So self-compassion for me is something that when you mentioned it, I was like, I don't even know how I do that. Like, I know how I practice self-care. I take care of myself physically, even though I haven't been lately. I go outside and just put my feet in the grass and just like breathe. That's the easiest thing for me for self-care and like really recenter myself. But as far as self-compassion, it's difficult. Because, you know, like you said, and I don't know that when I stub my toe, it's quite as much that way. Cause I think my gut reaction is usually like fucking table. And I'm just going to like throw the table. But for me, I think it's a matter of, I don't know how to be kind to myself. It is something I am trying to work on. So I'm kind of here to like listen and see what y'all are doing, because for me, it's hard, because I'm the type of person who, like, people will say the kindest things to us in emails, and I'm always just like, nah, they're just being nice.
Yeah.
And so the only thing I do is I try to do things for myself, because I am the type of person who wants to do everything for everybody, but I don't ever actually spend time doing things for myself. Whether that's self-compassion or self-care, that's different. But like actually owning something and going, you know what, I deserve this. I deserve to do something for myself. The biggest thing right now is, as I mentioned on last week's episode, and Chris, we haven't actually really talked about, is the tattoo that I got commissioned, that I'm working on right now. Big piece, lot of money that I don't need to spend. But at the same time, I was like, you know what? I deserve to do something nice for myself like that, because I never do. So I guess that's the closest thing, but I'm here to learn from the masters. I don't practice it very well.
Self-care sounds like a branch, whereas like self-compassion is the root, because like
right.
On some level, when you do things for self-care, it's like, I'm doing this because I know I should be like, you know, loving myself. But if you already have, you know, that root, you can do it without the goal of, you know, I'm doing this because I know I need to do something nice for myself. You'd already have the like, yeah, I absolutely deserve this.
Yeah. So before I kind of answer just some of my thoughts of how I do, or I attempt to try and like just embody self-compassion, I am curious, because everyone is so different, and everyone has a different reason for why they need to practice self-compassion. Because, so I'll give you an example of mine, and so it's not just me, I can give one that I know, as Steven's longtime friend, is something that he needs to be able to give himself compassion over. Is like, so for me, I tend to be a perfectionist, but not in like the traditional sense, because I am by no means a clean person. I am not like, I'm not type A in organizing files or anything like that. I just have incredibly high expectations for myself, or the way I usually, if I'm being honest with myself, I have unrealistic expectations of what one person can do. And for me, it's around, I know I'm not the only one that experiences this, where you look on the news, you see things that are going on, and you just become overwhelmed by, one, how much is going on, and two, how little you are doing to help try and just negate some of the evil or whatever it might be. And so for me, the root of why I need self-compassion is an example I've given so many times, and this is like a good window into who I am. And so me and my wife, we've for years continued to try and like learn how to understand each other better, because we just are people that, even our core, we have different things that have affected why we do things. And so for me, the compassion that I had to teach myself is, let's say I go and get like a smoothie, right? And so I'm getting a smoothie, and I get like, maybe it's like a sweet smoothie, so it's maybe chocolate and banana or something like that, okay? So if you had to guess, why do you think I would feel a lot of shame over putting chocolate in my smoothie? What would you probably guess it would be? Any idea?
Health reasons?
Yeah, that's a lot of people think that's why. It's actually not that at all. It's because for me, I feel super guilty and start beating myself up, because I start saying, well, shit, I mean, half the chocolate we know does not come from a good place. You know, like there are people, and then I start thinking about my cell phone, and like I'm on my cell phone all the time, but also, yeah, there's probably 1,000 people who had horrible working conditions to get this, and literally I spiral so quickly into those type of things.
It's like ultra empathy or something.
Oh yeah, to a point to where one, it's not helpful for me, but two, it's also, I can almost just not romanticize, but like create this story of what these other people's experiences are, and not giving them their own agency to have their experience, you know? And so either way, like I get in my head so much that I am become my own stumbling block 100%. And so for me, that's an example of the reason why I even need it to be experiencing self-compassion, is because the only way I'm going to be able to actually do what I want to do in this world is if I get out of my own freaking way, by just acknowledging I can do what I can and what I can't, and trying to work towards that. And I know that something, Stephen, for example, I mean, y'all talked about it this past week, was an area where you need to give yourself compassion, is considering you have validity to give the world, from your thoughts to what can you give in a friendship, to like, well, I don't want to be a bother. I mean, like that's one of your biggest like roots of fear. And so for me, I know that's one thing that's where you need to give yourself compassion, and what your counselor has said. And excuse the fact that my dog has just decided to go crazy. He is affirming the choice to show self-compassion. But yeah, so I just wanted to hear, you know, Stephen, you can share that, but also Brittany, for you, like, where do you think, for you personally, what is the root for why you need to be able to show yourself that more, if that makes sense?
Like, how did it happen in a way?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, from conversations with the doctor, it definitely sounds like, so like my mom passed when I was 6 years old, and I was like the youngest, you know, I have an older sister, and everyone else is obviously older in my family. And I don't remember being like talked to about it. But I do remember like taking care of my older sister, like from stories that other people have told me. It's kind of like I became like this caretaker of my older sister, and also didn't have an avenue to talk about it. So I always just kind of felt like talking about it would be a burden. And so I just like shoved it down. I felt like also I became kind of like my own parent in a way. 'Cause my dad was like, he's a great sensitive man, but he, rightfully so, he was like very distracted and had to work, and, he didn't really have a lot of time to be very attentive. He just kind of always trusted me. And so I felt like I became an adult so early on. But it also made me feel like, because everyone assumed from a young age that I would just be fine, I feel so uncomfortable like showing that type of emotion, because of times like when I've, watched family members cry. It actually doesn't make me feel comfortable enough to cry. It makes me actually feel less comfortable. It makes me feel like I have to caretake. And so I think, a lot of the feelings of, I don't want to be a burden. I also do the same thing of like assuming that something is because of something I've done. I've been very resistant to believe that, any shitty things that have happened to me have not been a result of me. I always assume it's because of something I did, or, it's hard to believe that things are so coincidental, or that it could have been someone else acting out. So yeah, there's like a lot of roots, there's that, there's, the first relationship with a woman that I was in college was like very emotionally abusive. So that set up like a whole pattern as well. Yeah. But I think in general, just like, not distracting myself with patterns, with patterns that I felt before, or having the muscle memory that when it feels like something familiar, just not letting myself get distracted with that and trying to progress, because I feel like I've been arrested in a way. I've been arrested in different places, and I feel like progressing is part of the self-compassion route. Sure. And being able to, the whole point of like getting the guitar was also to like be present. Because everything that I'm doing is either, is so like rooted in my past, or is towards the future, but with no like real, with no real like sustainable goal. It's just like, well, I have to write this, I have to write that, but it's nothing that feels really sustainable. So I think just like reconnecting with the present was a big piece of that as well.
Yeah. Well, and to if you don't mind, keep talking about something that you just said. It's interesting to me that someone who spends so much of their time crafting words as a writer, as a comedian, as all these type of things, I guess this is where you were able to find your voice, when you felt often like, I got to keep these other things down in order to be the strong one for everyone else. And so I think like being able to do things like the guitar and finding other ways where you're being able to speak out, like that's exactly what is actually showing you the compassion that you deserve, is being able to like, wait a second, I can also verbalize these things, and not just verbalize it through my writing, and I have something very valid to say. So yeah, that's awesome. Steven, you've been thinking. What?
No, I've just been trying to think through like an idea of I've just been trying to think through kind of where maybe the roots for me are, and all that. And some of the things you said were familiar. So, abusive relationships, things like that. I think a lot of it stems from, you can only be told that you're shit for so long before you start to believe it. Mm-hmm. And you can only be told, no one will love you before you start to believe it. And so, yeah, I think a lot of it probably does have to come from there. As well as for me, it's hard to be compassionate with myself, because Chris knows this, but I still have a lot of guilt surrounding my dad's death, of things that I wish I had done, or wish I had said, or wish I had worked on him with. And there was a time when I was like, oh, well, if I had done X, Y, Z, maybe this wouldn't have happened. And so I think a lot of it has to do with that. But I've always felt like I'm a bother. I'm going to be the one that causes the problem. And so I don't know how to find the root of that and fix it. I just kind of am doing the best I can, I guess.
I think a lot of it is also like was hearing from a professional, like, these things aren't your fault is huge too.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and as we have learned from doing this show, continually hearing others share that they have these feelings too, that they have gone through similar stuff, provides some piece of comfort of being like, oh, so this feeling of insecurity and weakness, this is not an isolated thing that I am just experiencing. I mean, there's a reason why in our game we both, as a joke, put pretty much pointing out insecurities from our parental figure like as the weapon, like, because there's truth there. And so a lot of times we don't often like prescribe actual, like, you should do this will help with this, because at the end of the day, one, like we say, we're not professionals, but two, this is just trying to be three friends who are processing it out loud of how to be kinder to ourselves in a more sustainable way. Something that you said, Stephen, that I have been thinking a lot about lately was, so you said the phrase, when you are told over and over that you're shit, or maybe in some situations people aren't physically told, like verbally told this, but through actions, through the way that they're treated, they are pretty much being told that exact same thing, whatever the case might be. Yes, it's actions and words can speak so much volume that can convince yourself of this must be true if everyone is saying it or everyone is showing it this way. And I have never forgot this one random line from, I was watching Criminal Minds one day, and what's the super smart guy's name? I don't remember his name, but you know who I'm talking about, the long-haired little
Mark Gray Goobler is the actor.
Yeah, he looks like a cute little Jonathan Taylor Thomas type of character, if you know what I'm talking about.
JTT. He was the voice of Simba. We've talked about
that's
how
true. That's true. But anyway, so something he said, and he's like this super smart character on here, so I imagine everything he says is correct. So if not, then this point, it will still be valid, even if it's not quite as scientifically proven as what I'm about to say. But he talked about how, like, the brain, scientifically, for every 9 positive things that happen or 9 positive things that are said, it takes 1 negative to overpower the other 9. And so because of that, I have never forgotten that. And so when, Stephen, you were saying all a person hears over and over is, this is what is wrong with you, or this is why you are bad, or this is why you're not funny, this is why you're not fitting in, this is why you're too much, whatever it might be, it only takes 1 negative time to make us forget that there have been so many times we have been complimented. And we live in a world where, sadly, we don't compliment very much because it's super awkward. No one can take compliments well. And if I were to just say something like very kind to you, Brittany, and we've only now known each other for what, like 45 minutes or whatever, like, you can both be grateful and also say, I'm very uncomfortable by this stranger saying nice things to me. Like, I think that's part of the thing too, is how do we practice self-compassion? One, we start trying to do a much better job of verbally being compassionate to others. So hopefully, in the same type of way, it can teach us to start doing those same, like, affirmations for ourselves. For the longest time, when I would, I'm trying to remember, wasn't it Michael Scott on The Office that one time, like, you overheard his, like, daily affirmations or something, or maybe it was Dwight Schrute, I can't remember who it was, but whatever the case is, I always used to think, like, affirmations you tell yourself was kind of like BS until I was in a situation where I was kind of, like, asked to do that. And I started saying, wow, it's kind of funny. When I say this over and over in my head, it actually makes me almost start believing it. And then there's, like, scientific proof that happens. And so, yeah, if anything, I just think being able to bombard yourself and others with kindness can hopefully help us learn how to actually do it a little bit more. Sorry, I feel like I'm being prescriptive, which is not what I was trying to do.
No,
I'm not
that's
trying to wrap this
beautiful.
into a bow, but that's what I was feeling.
Awesome. Well, any final thoughts before we close the book on this conversation for the night?
No, I think that was a perfect sum up.
Oreos. Get Oreos. That's great for self-compassion, too.
Yes, absolutely. Well,
Double
we're going to
stuff,
start
though.
winding it down then. If you would like to send us a topic for discussion or a mental health check-in, or you have anything else on your mind, we will remind you once again, we are not professionals, but you can email us at isthisadultingpod@gmail.com. You can follow us over on Twitter at isthisunderscoreadulting. Find us on Facebook at the page that we have, but also check out the Best Friends Facebook group. There's like 550 people in there. They're lovely humans, and they're just there to share life together. And sometimes that means, hey, I just got laid off. Can I talk to you guys? And sometimes that means, hey, have y'all seen this recall on goldfish? Somebody needs to tell Chris stat.
That's true.
Because he will die.
Yeah. And sometimes, before you can start showing self-compassion, you need some other people to show you compassion for a little bit before you can do it. And so that you can also do that there just by having a safe space.
Yeah, it's a lovely place. And we're in there from time to time. I'm in there a lot more than Chris. Chris posts about once a month.
Which is about as much as I post on social media. I'm really bad at that.
Yeah, but he's ever present. But yeah, definitely check us out there. And hey, if you got a second, I know it sounds simple, but it really helps new shows out and established shows that have been around for a while. I guess we're not a new show anymore. But yeah, if you just want to throw us a rating and a review on iTunes, that really helps us out. So we would like to thank the collection for the use of our theme music, The Borrowers, off their album Ars Moriendi. Brittany, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It was delightful.
Absolutely. It's been lovely to talk to you and just know that my wife is sitting in the next room jealous that I'm having a conversation with Brittany. So I'm enjoying that myself. Do you want to remind everybody where they can find you and your projects?
Yeah, so you can find me at Brit27Ash, that's 2 T's, on Instagram and Twitter. I have 3 podcasts, Don't Tell the Babysitter Mom's Dead, Angel on Top, and Sicker Sadder World. And you can also go to BrittanyAshleyFunny.com to find everything about me.
Awesome. Now I have to ask, is Brittany Ashley funny? Is that just like you making a very simple claim of Brittany Ashley funny?
Pretty much, yeah. BrittanyAshley.com was taken, so I was like, all right, fuck. BrittanyAshley1.com? Okay, no.
I'll be the funny Brittany
Yeah.
Ashley then.
Yeah.
And you certainly are. Well, I think that's going to do it for us here on Is This Adulting this week. I've been your best friend, Steven.
I've been your best friend, Chris.
And I've been your best friend, Brittany.
And remember, kids, be happy, stay healthy, and go hug someone.
Because you never know. They may just really want to order ravioli, even if they're in a sushi restaurant. And they need a hug, because they ain't getting any
Tina's Ravioli
Yeah.
Emporium. Check it out, y'all. Oh my gosh. All right. Y'all have a good week.
All right, bye.